And welcome to episode 115 of Habs Unfiltered. I'm your host, Blaine Pudvang, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Matt Smith.
Good evening.
And Treg Wilson.
Hello.
So, boys, how was your last few days? Busy?
Very much so. You guys almost got to see me in uniform or partially in it. But I thought I'd change for the camera, like fully change for the camera.
You would break the internet if you showed up on.
We just started the YouTube page. I don't need to crash it. So
You're our Kardashian.
Yeah. Other than that, though, very busy. But I was happy I was able to catch the last couple of games and have something to talk about. So that's good.
What about you, Trey?
I was busy painting my room here, as you can see, and I'll move the camera so you can get a better look at the start of what's going on. My whole room as a... Oh, actually, I like this better. Yeah, so actually, I didn't paint it. I taped it, and my wife, Tina, painted it, so give credit where credit is due. It wasn't me that actually painted the wall.
Well, there you
go.
I
taped it. So really, she had the easy job. I had to measure it out and make sure everything was even. And so, anyway.
It's the first thing that measuring tape's seen in a while, other than carry on.
Well, I did just finish building a basement too, so.
Yeah. Basement, yeah. Yeah, carry on, Matt. We won't go there today.
You're not allowed to swear, Matt.
I didn't. This is like the longest I've went doing a show without swearing. You're welcome. Comment section.
It's been 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comment section blew up because somebody said the word poop.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it rhymed with truck.
It was an F-bomb at some point.
Yeah, I tend to say that every now and then. You know, it's the East Coast in me, so it kind of happens.
You swear more than the sailors on the show.
Yeah, probably.
He's a single man, or he's portrayed as a single man.
I'm definitely a single man. Definitely a single man.
His OnlyFans page says he is.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
We made 99 cents so far.
No. All right. Well, before we begin the show, I want to bring up recently was Bell Let's Talk. I think that's a great initiative. It raises awareness, but I think it's important that we spend the rest of the year listening too. People are still affected. Just because that day is over doesn't mean mental health issues go away. So please, 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 if you have any problems, any issues, you're just feeling down, seek help. Please seek help. Don't resort to anything drastic. We would rather have you here with us than not. So that's it hits home when people hit bottom. Their loved ones are the ones that have to deal with the outcome. So please just seek help. It's an illness. It is not a weakness. Seeking help is a sign of strength. So please do so. And we'll just jump into to this week's show. The Canadiens just finished a 2-game set against Vancouver and won both games. So we're going to take a look at that. We'll break this down. And then once that's done, we'll talk a little bit about the Ottawa series that's upcoming. So, Treg, what was one of the things that you wanted to take away from this Vancouver series?
That when Montreal uses their speed and strength, they dominate the game. I think the Calgary game where they lost 1-0, it was more Calgary taking away their speed than Montreal not trying to use it. Plus, they lost Anderson. I think Anderson was a big loss in that game. People don't kind of miss that, but he left with 5 minutes left in the period or something like that. And against Vancouver, both games, it was a little bit better. Vancouver was a little bit tighter the second game, but both games they just used their speed to their advantage and just beat Vancouver. I I know on Twitter, non-Montreal fans are saying, "Oh, well, Vancouver's terrible." Well, Vancouver's 5-3 against the rest of the division and 0-4-1 against the Canadians. There's 3 games against Ottawa in there, but still 2-3. Take away the Ottawa games, are still 2-3 against the rest of the division. So I think it's more Montreal is exposed to learn how to expose Vancouver, and they're using their depth to their advantage. I mean, still 5-on-5. There's only a minute difference between the top line, whichever line that might be. Suzuki's the center getting the most ice time, but there's only a minute and a half between the least amount of points or least amount of ice time for the third line to the first line. So people later, and it's the year before, it almost like Montreal got tired near the end of the game, or they, depending on the score, depended on how their mood went, and now they're just go right to the end. So that's what I took out of it. Montreal needs to just keep using their speed and depth to win hockey games.
Matt, what about what do you think?
I completely agree, and I believe that the Canadians are the best. At least in the division, they're the best transition team in the division. They're extremely good at getting on pucks in all zones, and we've seen their turnovers. We've seen their ability to score shorthanded, which is at a great pace so far. And it doesn't matter if they're shorthanded. It doesn't matter if they're on the power play. It doesn't matter if they're 5-on-5. They just always seem to be hungry for the puck, and they're the aggressor. You know, gone are the days that it's let's sit back and protect the lead. It looks like they're always somewhat on the gas. There has been a couple gaps in that, but for the most part, like we've seen guys just attack, and we saw it with Lekkonen's goal, which looked really like an innocent play, and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net. And my big takeaway though is really the new guys. Tyler Toffoli loves playing Vancouver, and if Vancouver can play the Canadians all the time, I'm all for it. Like Tyler Toffoli seems to love it. He scored an incredible goal the other night. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Dragged to a backhand. I don't think he expected to score. I don't think we expected him to score, but afterwards, pretty sure my jaw hit the floor. So, and Josh Anderson, he scored a couple goals. He was physical. His first goal, he was just overpowering a young defenseman. But Chatfield's not a small guy, so that was just a bigger body getting the upper hand on a smaller body, and it just winning a puck battle. And yeah, it was a greasy goal, but they all count at the end of the day. And my final point is actually I had 2 points. The importance of Jake Allen. Jake Allen has very much impressed since the Canadians picked him up. He's 3-1 in the game that he lost. He only let up with the 1 goal. The other one was the empty netter. But through 4 games so far, so he's played 4 to 10 games. He's got a .930 save percentage and a 2.02 goals against. This is a guy that we talked about very, very high of. I brought him up multiple times. He's from New Brunswick, so of course I'm going to do that. And I just think he's going to end up being either the most important or one of the more important additions that Marc Bergevin made to this team to make it better. And my final point is that everything to do with Victor Mete. We kind of brought it up on the last show, and we thought that we would see him during this series. We ended up seeing him both games. Was he a factor? Not really. Was he a negative factor? Not really. He just kind of played his game. He showed some flashes. He showed some deficiencies in his game that we already knew were there, such as handling bigger opponents. We know he can't do that very well, but his partners were able to help him. The Canadians still won both games. Bergevin said that he's not trading the guy. He's going to use him as he sees fit. Mete didn't want to answer any questions regarding the proposed trade from his agent, which is respectable. Obviously, young guy, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot.
Well, maybe he should have told his agent not to make that shit public.
That's very true as well. It's going to be a developing situation. We'll see how it goes. But for now, he's in the lineup. He may still be in the lineup come Thursday. We'll wait and see. And we'll make that'll be another topic for another day. But
There's a rumor going around Twitter about Mete, Kulak, and Romanov doing a 3-man rotation. I haven't heard that from anyone of credit. I just heard people saying it on Twitter. I don't see that happening personally.
I don't see it either, because right now, if I yes, it's good to get a player in the lineup. However, the only reason Corey Perry's playing, and nothing against Corey Perry, I think Corey Perry's been playing very good since he's been in the lineup. But the only reason Corey Perry got in the lineup was because of an injury. And I truly believe the only reason that Victor Mete was playing is because of what was brought up in the media.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me. I do not like when young players who haven't really earned that right demand trades publicly to get themselves into the lineup.
And that's what seemed to happen. Like, I'm not gonna stomp on him. He made some terrible plays at times. He showed some flash. He showed some good skating. He showed some good puck movement at times. But at the same time, he was really a non-factor in the game.
And that's the thing.
And I don't think he did enough to be able to say, "Yep, I took this spot from Romanov, or I took this spot from Kulak." No,
he's not.
Absolutely.
No.
I don't think so. No,
I think Romanov's bad game was in part playing with Mete.
I think so too.
Kulak.
I think
he was
so
also
too.
playing on the left side, where he was playing on the right side the entire time until the Mete.
And Matt, you made the point that his Mete's partners were kind of helping him out.
Yeah.
And it's true. They're picking up the slack, so it's slowing them down. So Romanov had some problems. Was it because of Mete? I'm not going to say for sure, but the third pairing has looked like it's been dragged down a little bit.
It has been.
In the last 2 games. Thankfully, it hasn't been an issue against Vancouver because the Canadians, like you said, are rolling all their lines. So I don't know if he's going to stay for Ottawa. I think they're going to go back to the Kulak and Romanov pairing, and maybe in the second game they'll bring him back in. But for this Vancouver series, I think the main takeaway, and you mentioned a little bit about the effort level, how they were constantly on the pucks. It's that aggressive gap that they have on everybody on the ice at all times. That's the difference between the Canadians this year and last year. Last year it wasn't ubiquitous along every line. Now every single line is doing it. Every single line is capable of doing it. And on top of that, they have the talent to capitalize. So even in the first game, when the Canadians were a little bit sluggish in that second period, I can say that that's probably one of the worst periods they played all season. Yet they still ended up with 2 goals and none allowed, because despite the fact that they weren't really pushing the pace as hard as they should, they were still able to keep that tight gap and then capitalize on the opportunities they got. So I think that's the big difference this year. Is Vancouver a shitty hockey team? I don't think they are. They're in that second tier, maybe the lower end of the second tier of this division. The Canadians are clearly in that top tier with Toronto, probably Calgary as well. And so all the complaining on social media from Toronto that the Canadians are getting too much good press. Well, too bad. I mean, we're gonna see the Canadians playing some of the other teams like Calgary. They're gonna play a little bit more often. Toronto, they're gonna play a bit, and things leaving out.
I think it's I think it's well-deserved press. And I'm going to actually say something good about Toronto. They've got a good record as well.
Yep.
The only thing with Toronto is they rely so much on the skilled players that they have, and they only rely on those few players. They have to play some of these guys 20 plus minutes a night, which the Canadians don't. And I'm not going to shit all over the Leafs. It's just they don't have the depth that the Canadians do. They rely on a certain amount of players, and I just think that both teams right now, they deserve some merit. They deserve some recognition. And it's kind of nice to turn on Sportsnet or TSN or anything like that and not only hear about the one team, because this is a Canadian division. It's nice to hear about all teams involved. And it's it would be unfair to leave the Canadians out of the conversation for who may be or may not be the best team in this division.
Through the 10 games, Montreal is dominating the teams they're playing. They're dominating. Like, they're not just winning. They're
And they're not relying on one thing. They're not
That's right.
relying on, okay, well, we've got a really good power play. We get a power play, we're going to win the game.
Yeah. Well, the Leafs,
Yeah.
40% of their goals are power play goals. Their 5-on-5 is actually terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
and that's coming from Editor and Leaf. So if he's saying that they're
it's
terrible
true.
5-on-5,
it's true then. It's
Right?
true.
I mean, however, and their depth's showing up. Thornton's out. Matthews was out for a game. Now, mind you, they're winning their games, but they're not dominating their games. They're like just winning. They're getting the power play goals, and they're getting the goals when it counts to win because they have the skill and they have the players to get the goals when it counts to win, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking Toronto either, but to get pissed off because Montreal's getting a little bit more talk on two stations, TSN and Sportsnet, who 90% talk about the Leafs, is just silly. I mean,
Yeah, but back to we'll go back to the Vancouver series though.
Sure. Well, one thing like about the Vancouver series, like how good was Jeff Petrie?
he sucks.
he's-
He was a bust.
He's been quietly putting up points all year, and when Mete came in the lineup and Romanov was taken out or Kulak was taken out, people started bitching all over Twitter and social media saying, well, why don't you take out a guy like Edmonston? Why would you take out Edmonston? And I know plus minus is one of those stats that's just a stat. And like a lot of people don't like it. He's plus 14. And he's been a very, very steady partner for a guy like Petrie, who's been able to float up the ice, do his thing. And he scored scored an empty netter the other night, but there was another one where Perry got it to him for his 800th point. Petrie shouldn't be the one up leading the rush going to the net. That should be a forward. But the fact that he is able to do so with a guy like Edmonston behind him, and knowing that he's gonna be able to get back and defend, it's really unlocked we already knew Jeff Petrie was a good defenseman, but I find that with this partner, he can kind of unlock that untapped offensive potential. And what I really liked about this is Pierre LeBrun talked about the upcoming U.S. Olympic team and said the Americans have a lot of good talent on their D-corps, a lot of good young talent. He brought up Jeff Petrie's name and said he'd be very surprised if he wasn't on that. And for a guy that's 33 years old to make a team like that, when you look at guys like Slavin and Seth Jones, etc., that's a pretty good feather in your cap for playing at that age and making your Olympic debut potentially.
Well, when you put a team like that together, it's a short tournament. You want to have guys that you know what you can expect out of them. So he's one of those guys that you just know that every single night, every single game, you're going to get a certain style, a certain level of play. And he's one of those guys that you can rely on. So it makes perfect sense that he would be used on an American Olympic team. Maybe if it's a bottom pairing, I don't know.
Who cares?
But he'd be on the line. He'd be in the lineup.
Deserved. It's well deserved if he made the team.
Exactly.
Going back to Edmondson, and there's two narratives that the season started with. Edmondson was going to be Elsner 2.0.
Which they said about Sherrod.
Right. And Jonathan Drouin was still a bum. And so far, both Edmondson and Jonathan Drouin have been quietly shutting people up. And the problem is, if you're still bitching about Drouin and Edmondson, then you literally just take the two people and you don't care how well they do or how well they don't go. Druin can score a hat trick every game, and you're still going to say Druin should be traded for
That's
better
true.
pucks. So
The one thing I like to say about Duran, though, I would love to see him use a shot more. Because through 10 games, he's taken 11 shots. And we know that he can shoot.
he's just trying to set Anderson up, it seems to me all the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
He's playing off of Suzuki and he's setting up Anderson. And the fact that Anderson, so Suzuki and Drouin's chemistry is evident, but Anderson brings that line together. He
Very much so.
creates so much open space, and Drouin can just create. So of course he's going to pass a lot more because that's his style.
Yeah, and I love the commentary every time Anderson's on the ice. It's like, for a guy that big, he's got hands, he's got the size, he's got the speed, etc. Yeah, and I was a little bit surprised that he can keep up with these guys, but he really can, and he's driving the plays, and he's really been impressive so far.
It's nice to see a true power forward with the Canadiens lineup.
Yes, something we haven't had in a long time.
On Edmondson as well, having that kind of experience on the blue line, playing that steady type of defense was exactly what that second pairing needed. You mentioned Petry's breaking out, but by being able to eat up those minutes, like Edmondson's able to keep pucks in the zone. He keeps plays alive. And that tight gap that I had mentioned before with the forwards, that applies to the defense too. And he's mobile enough and fast enough to keep those tight gaps, even against guys like Crosby. Granted, he was using positioning and not his speed to control. Not Crosby, McDavid, to control McDavid's zone entries. But the fact remains, he's able to do so, even if it's only for a game here, a game there. That's still 3 or 4 games against a really powerful offense that you can rely on a guy to keep those tight gaps and help shut down some of the most potent offenses in the league. So
for me, Edmonton's playing
not that bad.
Edmonton's playing how I thought Alzner was going to be when they initially signed him.
Yeah.
Because when they got him out of Washington, I was excited for it. I was like, that's a solid pickup for you got a guy with size who at the time was playing very well in Washington. And the contract threw me off a little bit. Obviously it got worse as time went on, but I thought that was the kind of style that he was going to bring to the Canadiens, and obviously it was something that at the end of the day didn't work out. But for people to call Sherratt Alzner 2.0, and then they said the same thing to Edmonton, I think Sherratt is doing what he needs to do. He skates pretty goddamn good for a big man as well. And he's been able to jump up in the play and be that steady partner for Weber. He can kill penalties, etc. And we're seeing the same thing now in Edmonton. And it's taken a little bit of pressure off of a guy like Weber that has to always be out there killing penalties or playing in all situations.
That depth spreads out the ice time and keeps the guys fresh. And I think this whole Alzner 2.0 bullshit, how every single time they make a signing, they're like, oh, that's Alzner. Oh, that's this. That's stop. Alzner was a bad signing. No one denies that. But not every single signing is an Alzner. Just because you don't like the signing doesn't mean it's going to turn out poorly.
Yeah.
Now,
it's the same thing as Jake Allen. People are saying, like, look how much you guys are spending on your goalies. Yeah. The Canadiens are spending a hell of a lot of money on their goalies this year. It's not. Is it your money? No. Are they playing to the cap for once? They are. Do they have a very good team? They do. Just stop complaining. Enjoy the wins as they come.
Since it was the analytical guys who really dump on Edmondson, our buddy Jason Paul has a good exit entry statistic for it. And if you look at Joel Edmondson, who's supposed to be a pylon who doesn't do much of anything, he has a 64% successful exit rate, which is higher than every defenseman, but it's higher than every defenseman. So he has the highest exit rate than anyone. Oh, sorry, Brett Kulak is higher exit rate than any defenseman on the team. For his entry, believe it or not, Joel Edmonds is at 75% entry rate, and his entry denial is third on the team at 10.5. So he's doing his job. He's getting the puck out, he's getting the puck in, and he's stopping the puck from coming in.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm a bit of an Edmondson homer or whatever, but I think he's playing well. Mike Johnson said it perfect. You don't hear his name, that means your defensive defenseman is doing his job.
That's right. That's
And
right.
he's been doing his job,
and they haven't had to overplay him. He's only averaging 18 minutes a night. This isn't a guy that needs to be out there in all situations, but they can rely on him defensively if need be. And and as you said, he's doing his job. He's doing what they're paying him to do.
And back to Allen, I think a big thing that people are overlooking is the fact that when Carey Price is in the net, he plays a certain style. He handles the puck a certain way. There's an expectation by the defense when he's playing of what to expect. When Jake Allen is in the net, it's very similar to the style that Carey Price plays. Clearly, Jake Allen is not to the level of Carey Price, but he's effective. He plays a similar style. So there's not an adjustment that has to be made by the forwards or the defense. So they don't have to game plan for their own teammate. So that money is well spent because now you have every single game you can play the same way with the same system, with the same expectation that there's going to be a goalie blocking those dump ins. He's going to stop that. You're going to be able to pick it up, or you'll be able to make a pass to you if you need to. So that's a big deal. When you can start with the puck on a dump in like that, you can clear that zone much quicker. And having two goalies who can do that is a big deal.
It's the first time in a long time that I can watch a game as a fan and say when a backup is in and think to myself, they have a chance to win this game. I haven't been able to say that in many years. Or you're like, oh, here we go. What are they going to do? What extra are they going to have to do to pull it a win because this guy's in the net?
And you look at the lines.
The goalie controversy hasn't started yet.
Well, some people are already talking about it.
I said, yeah.
Stupid.
I mean, that goes to test as to how well Allen's playing.
Yeah,
right?
100%. If people are bringing that up already and bringing up old stats and bringing up this and that, it just does show the level of play that Allen's demonstrated so far and the value that he's brought to this team. But
you look at the four lines that the Canadians are rolling now. In the series against Vancouver, throughout the season, really. The possession stats on those lines are through the roof. The Habs' three offensive lines are in the top 7 on possession in the league for lines over 250 minutes. Their fourth line, they don't have a ton of possession time, but they do have a ton of offensive zone time. So they're getting the pucks in, they're cycling it down there, and they're keeping it away from their own net. So every line, thanks to those tight gaps and that very aggressive style, they're getting possession of the puck and they're keeping it away from their own goaltending. So that's more than anything makes me feel confident with the team that it's not just a flash in the pan, that it's actually something that's going to work against the top echelon teams. Maybe not 4 wins in a 7-game set, depending on the team that they play, but more than likely than not, they're going to get a win. So any other thoughts on the Vancouver series? Treg, do you have any?
Hughes can't play defense.
True. That's true. And we talked a little bit before we started recording. And my thought on Hughes is very good offensively gifted player, 100%. However, if he starts getting votes for the Norris Trophy, they really have to consider renaming that trophy or renaming or
making 2 trophies.
Yeah, making another trophy for an offensive defense.
Take the name defense out of that trophy.
Yeah,
the Paul Coffey
100%.
Award.
Yeah, you know what? The guy's still a young player. He's still developing his game and everything. He just has to remember that he is a defenseman and he's got to start learning the game a little bit better on that side of it if that's what you want to be called.
Now, Petrie, on the other hand, he deserves some. Maybe he deserves a Norris.
As of right now, he'd probably be in contention for a top 5 vote.
I think so.
I would say so.
Now,
Also, bring up Lehkonen had a great series.
He did.
Oh God, yeah,
He did.
Well, all year long, Lehkonen, all year long.
Lehkonen's been an unsung hero all year long.
Good stick. Lecky is just drooling right now over how good he's been playing.
And Danault almost scored a couple times.
Well, he hit the belly pad 12 times, but
he's going to break a goalie's ribs sometime with how many shots he throws at his chest.
That's terrible.
You know what? Danault has that. Well, the thing is, they haven't had to rely on that line as much. The only thing that it's showing is Danault really should have signed that contract.
That is probably the Canadians' worst line right now, production-wise.
Yeah,
it depends on the game. It depends on the game. Like they get out there, they get the chances. It's just other than as of right now, really, other than Gallagher, he's really the only one that's showing flash and some drive on the ice. Tatar's had his chances. He's no slouch. He's got 6 points this season. He's had some good chances and everything. It's just that since Danault denied this contract, I've been watching him a little bit more, and a goal is going to come eventually. I just find he's trying to force the play a little bit too much.
He'll get a Pacioretty goal maybe, but
I just think he's trying to force the play a little bit too much. He's not picking his shots. He's just kind of get them on net, and
I think he should be.
He should definitely sign that deal.
He should be just passing the pucks off to Tatar and Gallagher.
Now,
I'm not worried about shooting myself, but
we're kind of mean. I think we need to give a little bit of love out there to everybody. I mean, it's almost Valentine's Day. And speaking of Valentine's Day, the Lawnmower 3.0. Valentine's Day is upon us. Make sure you're ready for whatever the night may take you. Our friends at Manscaped, the global leaders in men's below-the-waist grooming, are here to tell you that you need to use the best tools for the job so that you can be ready for anything on that special day. 2 million men are already trusting Manscaped products to groom. Make sure you're one of them. Your girl can't think of what to get you this year? Tell her to get the gift that's for you and for her. The best way to get started is with the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0, full of the best products to keep you looking, smelling, and feeling nice. The Perfect Package 3.0 is led by their revolutionary third-generation Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, which has advanced skin-safe technology and features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming and grooming accidents. It's also waterproof, which prevents a mess on the bathroom floor and in the sink, especially when it's time for Cupid to shoot his arrow. And let's be real, we've smelled the worst down there before. That's why I'm thankful for the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver. These products keep our boys from sweating, smelling, and sticking. And these products smell good. Their manly scent is attractive and will help set the mood, if you know what I mean. The Perfect Package 3.0 will also come with a pair of Manscaped boxers. They'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day. It's time to upgrade those overused pairs of boxers to Manscaped high-performance anti-chafing boxers. Easily the comfiest boxers I've ever had. And complete your grooming game with the new Refined Cologne Signature Scent by Manscaped. With the same signature scent that is in all Manscaped formulas, this cologne is a perfect complement to this collection. This is the perfect package for your perfect package. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code unfiltered20 at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off free shipping with the code unfiltered20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code unfiltered20. Happy Valentine's Day from Manscaped. So people deserve a little bit of love. Even Danault, even though I just recently wrote an article for the Hockey Writers talking about how it's time for the Canadiens and Danault to file for divorce. I mean, you mentioned it, Matt. The rumors have been out there. I think our friends over at La Poche Bleue, Guillaume Nathan-Andresse, he brought out some inside information that Danault turned down a 5-year, $30 million deal. That is, in a flat cap era, a ton of money and a ton of security. The term involved in that. Could you imagine? He's already being surpassed in the depth chart by Suzuki and Kotkaniemi. So now you're throwing $5 million long term to a third line center. It looks like maybe the Canadiens kind of caught a lucky break.
So far, that's the way it seems. However, he's playing on one of the more consistent lines in hockey right now in the last few years. So it's just a matter of time before he gets a little bit of puck luck and the points start to come. He's still very much part of this team, very much part of the defensive side of this team. Good penalty killer, etc. It's going to come. Yeah. However, will he see this 5-6 year contract again? It's looking less likely.
Now, I honestly think that he's going to end up staying the full season.
I think so too.
I don't see Bergevin wanting to shake anything up or ruin the chemistry that's in that room. And he's probably looking at Danault as if he's an own rental. But if he were to decide to, Danault calls his agent and then demands a trade publicly like some spoiled child. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah. Can't hear you, bud. You got him muted there. But yeah, so if he decides to ask for a trade, maybe they move him. Now, do you feel, Matt, while Treg's fixing his mic, do you feel that he should stay, or do you think it's time to maybe leverage him to get a third line center that is a third line center and bring in another piece with him?
Hard to say, because for the Canadiens to have that line together still after this many years, they do work. They do have chemistry.
Yeah.
And it would take some time bringing in, whatever the replacement was to rebuild that chemistry and to rebuild that cohesion that line has. And they would miss that defensive style that he has. Like he's a guy that gets Selke votes, and he's only getting better. And when you have some of the better defensive players, or even some of the better players in the league, talking about him and praising him,
yeah,
it's very good for his wallet. That's for sure. It's just that, I said he just needs some puck luck, and I think his game will just. I think he'll just get the monkey off his back, and he'll take that next step.
I think a big reason that you can almost talk about. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear
you. Yeah. Okay. So I think a big reason that we're almost even talking about trading Danault is the play of Evans. Evans has stepped up and become a very good two-way forward, two-way center. Now, I'm not saying Evans can replace Danault. But Danault's play so far 10 games into the season, yes, Evans can replace Danault on that line because Danault's not – personally, I don't think Danault's playing as good as Evans is so far this season, personally. Face-off circle, sure, because he's their leading face-off guy. But, last year Nate Thompson was their leading face-off guy. So
we're looking at Danault more, though, because we expect more out of him.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with you, Matt. I think it's just a puck luck thing. It's only 10 games into the season. It's gonna come. I totally agree with Blaine on he's the team's own rental. I don't think he'll get traded. I think they'll keep him to go into the playoffs and have a good playoff run. I really don't think Philip Danault is going to be a Montreal Canadian next year.
The way I see it, if they're not willing to trade a depth defenseman right now, they're not going to trade Philip Danault unless their deal just blows them away. can't see it happening. And then you've got to think about the whole quarantine thing. And if they move him out of the division and all that kind of stuff, is it really worth it at the end of the day?
Just because Mark Bergevin said he's not trading Mete doesn't mean he's not looking at trading.
That's true. That's true.
Right? Like, I mean,
yeah, he's probably pissed about it. He probably is. But he's not one of those guys that shows his cards.
But he's not going to trade him unless he gets something he wants back. So
that's right. He's not just going to trade him to trade him.
Right. I don't hear Blaine at all. I don't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Bergevin he's not going to just trade him, like you said. He is on the, however, probably doing this on his own terms. So when the rumor came out, it's not a rumor, when the agent came out and said, my client wants to be traded right now, and he said, no chance. Well, maybe he is shopping him, but he's not going to just move him just to move him. He's not in the season where he can do someone favors. So if someone sends him a depth defenseman that he likes, sure, maybe he'll make the move, but not until then. So you know your role, stay in your lane, do your job.
He doesn't need to move. He doesn't need draft picks.
No.
Mete is his depth defenseman. The only thing he would want to do it for is to clear cap space.
But he's only got $750,000 in the cap for him.
That's just it, right? Like,
yeah.
I know he's trying to clear cap space for the trade deadline.
But that's not the way.
But it's not the way to do it. I mean, to clear cap space would be to trade Paul Byron or someone like that who has a bigger contract. And I mean, Paul Byron's another story you can talk about his play, but we don't need to get into that today. But
no, and I think we can move over to the Ottawa series at this point.
Yep.
So the Canadians are going to be playing, as we record, it's Wednesday night, the 3rd of February. On the 4th, Montreal's will be playing Ottawa, and it's going to be the first retro jersey night. So crack out your retro jerseys, put on your blue jersey, and enjoy the game. And it's going to be Montreal's first game against Ottawa this year. Other teams have. And Ottawa. I said it before the season started. I said that I didn't think they'd be a very good team, but they're going to be a tough team in the game. So they'll lose a lot of games, but they're going to be close. And so far, that's been generally what's happened. They've had issues with goaltending. They've had issues with their defense. But they've only been able to pull out one win in 10 games.
Against Toronto.
Against the Leafs.
It's awesome.
And after they won that game, I was like, hey, maybe they've turned it around a little bit if they can compete with Toronto. And they kind of did really make Toronto look silly in that game.
They did.
Even and the then game, Toronto won.
Yeah, absolutely. And then all of a sudden, it's just been a downward spiral since then.
Even the second game, Toronto won. Ottawa was in the game right to the very end. I think it was a power play goal, then an empty net, and that was the end of the game. So
yeah, it's weird how they get us how
Toronto
power plays
play
turn things around.
Oh. Toronto power play, really? You're going to go there?
40% of their goals are on the power play.
I still haven't dropped an F-bomb. What the hell?
So, but back to Ottawa. You cannot take that team lightly. I know they only have one game and one win, but you can't take that team lightly. Yeah. Brady Tkachuk is there. He is a gamer.
He is. Yeah. This is a team that's just going to drag you into the shit.
Yeah.
And pull you into the dirty stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff after the whistle, a lot of cheap stuff here and there. As long as the Canadians stay disciplined and they don't get dragged into that, and let's be honest, take advantage of a very very youthful, very inexperienced team that's very, very shoddy goaltending. You look at Matt Murray, who I said when we started doing the show at the start of the season, is probably going to be one of the worst contracts signed during the off season. So far through 7 games, he's got a 4.82 goals against average.
And they're looking at putting him as a healthy scratch.
Yeah, they were
And
talking about bringing Joey Accord up. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
Wow,
So-
there's a win for
Yeah,
Ottawa because Montreal can never beat a rookie goalie. So
that's true. And when they and just today they put Braden Coburn on waivers. So for a veteran defenseman to just win a cup with the Lightning, now all of a sudden you're on waivers on a team that's the worst in the league. I know that they want to showcase their youth, and they think they brought up Eric Brandstrom.
Yeah, but they're not going to play him. Apparently, their coach Smith, he doesn't like Brandstrom for some reason.
it looks like Derek Steppen might be on his way out as well because
He's having issues with the coach as
The coach
well.
doesn't like him either. So
No.
Hey, trade Danault for him.
This is, you know what? This is a
they
team.
got
This,
Galchenyuk. So
right. This is a team that's developing. They've got some of the better young talent in their prospect pool. I'm a big Tim Stützle fan. I hope he does well in the league.
Oh, that kid's going to be something else.
I'm just really kind of depressed that he's an Ottawa Senator. But this is a team that, as Blaine said, could surprise, but more than likely is going to be a team that's just going to try to pull you into the weeds.
This is a trap game. If you've ever
100%.
You look up in the dictionary trap games, this is a trap game.
This is going to be a game and a mini series that, having these big bodies that the Canadians went out and got, is going to pay dividends.
Big time. They need to roll that depth. That's what's going to make the big difference here.
Yeah, and show off their speed.
Yeah, exactly. But don't think that the Senators can't keep up, because
they definitely can.
Josh Norris can keep up. Drake Batherson, local Halifax kid, played a little summer hockey with him. Let me just say how fat that kid is. Fast.
Yeah.
Holy
but Blaine, you're
jeez.
pretty slow too. So
Yeah, but I was on the bench watching.
They also have my favorite ex-Canadian, Mike Riley.
Is he dressed?
Habs should win. So Habs should win.
Is he going to be? Yeah, no. Riley's going to score a hattie.
Riley and Galchenyuk will score like 6 goals between the two of them.
If Galchenyuk can get back in the lineup.
Yeah, and then some rookie who's never played an NHL game before in his life scores the winner, make it 7-6.
Yeah.
Their rookie goalie will get the win.
Yeah.
Showed.
You want to score your first career goal? Play the Canadians.
Play Montreal.
Yeah.
You want to get your first career win?
This is clearly a trap game.
Yeah, 100%,
clearly a trap
100%.
game. So they cannot underestimate this team. This team can compete with them. It'll be close. They're going to be motivated to prove that they can play against the better teams in the league anyway.
Especially as we record, top team in the division. And going into tomorrow, they're going to be top team in the division because Toronto doesn't play tonight. So
that's right.
So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm not going to say I hope for a close game. I'd love to see Montreal just continue down this route of just destroying teams.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm definitely in. I hope it happens. But I won't be surprised if at least one of these games is closer than the other.
I have a concern though if they keep scoring goals like this. Will chickens become extinct in Quebec because of all the chicken wings they have to pay for?
Very well could happen.
By the way, Matt, Montreal's the top team in the league right now.
Well, there you go.
The entire league.
I'll take it.
Now, looking forward to that series, the Canadians' power play. They made some adjustments. I'm guessing Claude listens to the show because everything we said in the last episode he applied. Treg mentioned taking Weber off the top power play unit. He did that. I mentioned, using the 1-3-1 and making more controlled zone entries. They did that, and they went 1 for 3 in that last game against Vancouver. So, and not to mention all the other 2 power plays didn't score, but they generated 4 shots on net, and 2 of them were quality scoring chances. So the power play was generating momentum, and they were playing in the other team's zone like a power play should, something we didn't see last year.
I think my main takeaway from that is I think the only reason they really threw Weber out there is because they didn't have Romanov they didn't have Romanov on the ice for that power play, and it doesn't look like they trust Mete enough to take that role.
They could have
He
put
was on
Petrie there though.
Say again?
They could have put Petrie on the second power play.
They could have. They could
But
have.
Petrie was on the first one.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like
They could have. Yeah,
saying-
they could have done either or.
They
They
could have
chose.
done either
They
or.
chose Weber, and
I mean, Weber has his place on the power play, but he should be used more as a decoy than and that's what they did last night in the game. They kind of had Weber out there and they used him. And when Vancouver moved out to him, Suzuki and Drouin used that to get the puck to the guy in the slot or the guy.
they can.
Yeah.
They can. You know what? They can still keep Weber and Petrie on the same unit. I have no issue with that. They just can't be so damn predictable and say, okay, it's going to Weber, it's going to Weber, because we know that Suzuki Drouin can do a very good pass into the slot to a guy like Toffoli or Gallagher or Anderson or whoever is in that position. We know that Galchenyuk does have a good shot. Oh my God, I'm tired. I know I am. We know that Petrie's got a good shot. We know that Weber's got a good shot. They just take out that predictability, and your power play is going to go up that much more.
And then you have Michael Ryder there, so he's going to.
I know, right? And you got almost Bork, and you got all those other guys, right?
Yeah.
I like this version of almost Bork better, though.
Yeah. What would Ryder do? That's the new hashtag that we're going to be pushing.
Ryder
WWRD. What would Ryder do? So there you go. That's the new hashtag that we're starting with Habalison.
Yeah.
I started that back and forth with Vinny in the last game, and he was laughing so hard he told me to stop it. So I think that we're going to make that a trend.
I think so.
So
At least for a
everyone-
couple
If they're on
days.
the power play, what would Ryder do?
Exactly. So anytime the Canadians go on a power play, if you're listening to this show, throw in the hashtag WWRD, which is what would Ryder do, tag the show, tag Habalison, and let the fireworks go.
I really hope that doesn't end up being some sort of like weird sexual acronym or something. You see it on, Urban Dictionary or something, and it's like,
If it is, it makes it funnier.
yeah, exactly.
I'll ask Britt. I'll ask our friend Britt if that's a weird.
She probably
she'll know.
knows.
She'll know. She'll know.
If anyone would.
She'll know.
So, all right. I think that pretty much does it. That covers everything we were going to talk about. I want to thank everyone who has been who listens to our show regularly, and to anyone who just tried us out and has stuck this long through the entire show. Dear God, thank you, and I hope that you listen to another one. This is no fun unless you guys interact with us and listen. So thanks for listening. If you're looking to find us, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us anywhere you can find podcasts. Click subscribe, give us 5 stars, tell your friends. There's some new stuff coming up the pipe. We're gonna be releasing our new logo here very soon, and there may be some merchandising available to everyone. We have decided that what's that?
Win a date with me.
Yeah, let's not do that. We want people to actually listen. Yeah, so once we do get the merchandise going, there's
I'll take it.
yeah. Once we do get the merchandise going, though, we will be likely sharing most of those proceeds with charity anyway. So just keep an eye out. There's some new stuff coming, and if you want to see us on new platforms, let us know. The emails are open, habsunfiltered@outlook.com. The DMs on our Twitter and Instagram accounts are open, so feel free to let us know. And always remember, if you were talking about it, so are we.